This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is the president and CEO of Skyharbour Resources, Mr. Jordan Trimble. Mr. Trimble, how are you doing this morning?
It's always Jordan to you, Gerardo, but I appreciate it.
I'm
doing well, thanks. Yeah, lots to talk about.
It's a bull market in uranium, Jordan. I told you I'm going to call you Mr. Trimble until the bull market's over. Jokes aside, you've positioned Skyharbour and shareholders very, very well during very challenging conditions. That's really starting to pay off, and I mean that in the literal sense. You had some news this morning that I wanted you to provide a bit of context on. More accretive news, more accretive deal making while still focusing on the flagship. You're doing both simultaneously, beautifully, frankly. So congrats on that front. But you want to go ahead and share some insight on the news from this morning?
Sure. And I think that's a key point there that you made, that, I don't want to take a focus away from the exploration and the drilling that we're carrying out at our flagship Moore Lake project. As we spoke about in our last interview, we completed a 7,000 meter drill program. Very happy with what we've seen in that program, having announced the first batch of results just over a month ago. Some of the highest grade mineralization that we've discovered to date in the underlying basement rocks, 6.8% U3O8 over 2 meters in one of the drill holes. And we've got another 12 or 13 holes to report. So keep an eye out for news flow between now and year end on that. But yeah, look, the other part of our business, as we talked about at length, is prospect generation. And as we spoke just a couple of weeks ago when we announced the transaction, the option agreement with what is now Basin Uranium Corp, was previously Black Shield. We optioned our Man Lake project to them, which we went over again a few weeks ago. And just today we brought in a new partner company, what is now our fifth partner company at our other projects, a company called Madero Mining. And as you'll see with the news release and the terms of this option agreement, it's very accretive for Skyharbour. It's a great deal for both companies. So the total amount for an initial 70% interest in the Urchison project, which we own 100% of currently. It's over on the east side, just actually outside of the basin. It's road accessible, and it has some good historical exploration results. It's actually prospective for both uranium and for base metals, but there's some very interesting historical uranium numbers there in trenches and in previous drill holes. But just getting back to the terms of the option agreement. So a 3-year deal, earn an option for an initial 70%. In order for Madero to earn that initial 70%, they have to pay us $800,000 in cash. That's all Canadian. They have to carry out $5 million in exploration expenditures, and they have to issue us $3 million Canadian in shares of the company. And what's a little bit different about this earn an option agreement is that we've provided them an option to acquire up to 100%. Now there's a big balloon payment that would need to be made within 30 days of earning the initial 70%. So if they earn the 70% through the exploration expenditures, cash and share payments, then they have the option to acquire the additional 30% by paying us $7.5 million in cash and issuing us $7.5 million worth of stock. So a big payment. It's a big dollar value, which is great to see. Obviously, we would retain an interest in the project and in the company through our shareholding and an NSR. Now, if they complete just the 70% earn-in, we would retain that minority interest, much like we have structured in our other option agreement. So a big deal for Skyharbour. Yet again, a good way for us to monetize some of our other secondary projects. And this is now our fifth partner company, our third active option agreement. So again, these partner companies are funding the vast majority of the exploration and the development work that's being carried out on these projects. And really, again, I emphasize this, it provides us with additional active programs and projects whereby Skyharbour and its shareholders have exposure to potential new discoveries in the basin. So come January and February, if we go through our various partnerships, there's a strong likelihood you'll see at minimum 3 to 4 active drill programs at our various projects. Obviously, our flagship Moore Lake project, we have plans to get back to work there in the new year once all of the assays are reported from this recently completed drill program. But we also have partner companies, Azincourt, planning a 7,000 meter drill program at East Preston, Valor planning a 2,500 meter drill program at Hook Lake, and likely we'll see one of these two new option partners, either Madero or Basin Uranium Corp, drilling in the new year as well, potentially both of them drilling in the new year. So lots going on.
A lot going on. Can't let you go without getting your take on the uranium space. I know you were at a couple of conferences recently. I have to believe that the sentiment this year was a tad bit different than the last time you were out and about conferencing as it relates to uranium. How did that go for you?
Yeah, no, it's been good. We've attended several virtual conferences, road shows. There's a lot of interest in the space right now, and taking a step back, there's two mega macro trends that continue to gain momentum, and one of which is electrification globally. The world needs more electricity, and the second is decarbonization, clean energy, and really nuclear is at the nexus of both of these mega trends. And I think we'll just continue to see support grow for the industry. You've got the COP26 happening right now in Britain. You've got a continued push towards decarbonization and economies being carbon neutral by mid-century, and nuclear will have to play a pivotal and integral role in achieving those climate goals. So the demand side, I think we continue to see growth in demand globally. We've talked at length about the supply-demand fundamentals, but they're as compelling as they've ever been, and certainly with the advent of SMRs and some of these advanced nuclear technologies, and just the build out of nuclear reactors in places like China and India and other parts of the developing world. I think we're in for a good 10 to 20 years ahead of us in terms of growth in demand. We've talked at length about the supply side. There's been a major supply side response that's played out over the last 5 or 6 years. We simply, at even the current price having moved up, we saw it jump up from $30 to $50. It's kind of settled back in the low to mid 40s. But at that price per pound of uranium, we're still at quite low levels. We need to see a higher price to incentivize new meaningful production to come back online. And I think it's, as I said before, I still think it's very much the early innings of this bull market. We've talked about recent financial new entities that have come into the market, like the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. More recently, the Kazakhs announced a physical fund that they're going to be setting up, and they've announced they're planning to raise $500 million for that. Sprott's announced over $1.3 billion. So that's a lot of money that's come in, and it will be cleaning up the market. And we're seeing that market continue to tighten. We saw last week with Cameco's earnings call. I thought it was one of the more bullish earnings calls from them in a long time. They hit on a number of key points, one of which was the restart at McArthur, likely not taking place or happening until at least for a few years, and their discussions with the utility companies. We are seeing some new utility interest, and I emphasize this. That's historically been the main driver for a higher uranium price in uranium bull markets is utilities coming in and contracting, and we have yet to see that happen. This recent move and the catalyst for a higher uranium price has been driven by just a couple of financial entities in the market and a bit of speculation. So when we see the real main driver and catalyst come into the market over the next several years, I think it's going to be a very lucrative space to be in.
Agreed. Well said. I'm looking forward to the consistent news flow to end what was a spectacular 2021. And I think, as great as 2021 was for the uranium space, I think 2022 is going to be an absolute barn burner. Thanks a lot, Jordan. I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll chat soon.
Take care.